It's crazy how like music lives. You know, I made the album in December. When I made the album, it was very specifically almost like therapy for me, and very intentionally like making an album that wasn't going to like blow up. You know, that was it was not about the hits. It wasn't about the big sounds. You know, I wanted to make music that felt like release and felt like feeling. You know, and so I asked Travis. I was like, Travis, I don't want to make a single hit on this record, and he was like, perfect. Let's just make a good album. So we made a good album. And I'm mind blown because that good album has turned into a great album, which has turned into the album that I'm very confident is going to be the turning point in my career. So I'm very grateful for it.
The Travis you're speaking about is, of course, Travis Barker, the infamous member of Blink-182, one of the most talented human beings walking planet Earth. What's it been like getting to work with and become quite familiar with Travis throughout the recording process?
I mean, more than words can probably describe. He really is. I was just talking about on the interview before this. He's known that I was going to get to this point in my career, in my life really as a person. I think like 4 or 5 years ago, he's always known that I was going to come here, and I'm pretty sure he probably knows where I'm going to head in the future. He's just so intuitive and just has a kind heart and like loves music more than anything. He loves music more than the outcome of shit, you know, and like the bullshit of it all. So I'm very grateful for Travis. I mean, I wouldn't be able to be here without him.
Actually reached out to you. Were you starstruck a little bit as someone who obviously grew up with Travis being famous for your entire life?
The craziest part about it all too is like I only had really known about Travis as like an actual celebrity. You know what I mean? Like him being one of the best drummers of all time. You know, because I didn't grow up listening to punk music or rock music. And so when Travis hit me up, it was kind of a shock because it was like, whoa, you know, like that's like notoriety from the beginning, you know. So the fact that he was even interested in me really caused all the labels around in New York and LA to be interested in me. Like it was purely him. So that was wild. And then we met and he was like, did you listen to punk and rock music growing up? And I was like, no. And he was like, that's perfect. And I was like, why is it perfect? And he was like, well, he was like, first, that's the most punk shit I've ever heard. And he was like, two, like I'm gonna give you the space, and like with me, bro, you'll become exactly what you're supposed to be, you know, for this world. And so, I mean, he's known it since the beginning. I owe it to him since the beginning, and I love that dude so much.
An amazing mentor. I think he probably finds common ground with you in the sense that this record obviously was inspired by the concept of, you know, what would you hear, what would you do when the music stops? And I think Travis and you are very, very much aligned in the sense that you would have no fucking clue what to do if there was no, if there was no music at all.
Yeah, dude, I think we'd die, you know, straight up. Like that's really where it came from. Is I felt like I died after my best friend passed away or was poisoned, you know, with fentanyl, and so that was like a reality for me. The music of my life had stopped in a very real way, and I made a lot of crazy decisions, even in music and even personally, that like just really you look back on it and it's sad to see yourself in a spot that just wasn't you, you know. And that's what this record is for me. It feels good to like have fun and be myself again, you know. And I think that's a testament to a lot. I also had to like follow my own sword to get here too. Like I had to tell everyone they were wrong and then admit that I was wrong, you know, just to get to the point where I could love my music again. And honestly, it's so worth it. I would do it 24 more times.
And look, music can be a healing process, right, as well. And for you, across these 17 tracks, you really go through some stuff, and you sort of emerge on the other side of it as like a fully formed human Jaden, ready to take on the planet. Do you feel that this record's had an important role in your growth as a human?
That was its own like purpose, you know. I really didn't make this album for anybody else. I just made it for me. And funny enough, I think a lot of people agree. I agree that that's the only way to make music for other people, is to only make it for yourself. And that's not very common these days, and I feel bad for a lot of artists because I've been there, and I feel like I'm just now getting through the other side. But they just make stuff because they think it's gonna work, you know, or they think that people want to hear it. Like the consumer's never been right. I am the consumer as well, and I'm not right, you know, in that sense. Like the artist is supposed to be a martyr, and it's supposed to be a sacrifice to take on the weight of the world so the world doesn't have to. And I feel like I just started to do that with this album in a long time. You know, it's been a while since I felt that way, so it's exciting. I'm very grateful.
That's amazing. Now, there's 17 tracks on this record, man. That's quite a lot of material for people to work their way through, and so
Yeah.
it's quite varied as well, sonically. Who influenced this? I'm really curious because you mentioned that you did not grow up listening to rock and punk music, but those sounds are definitely prevalent on the record. What other stuff is going into this mix that makes up the enigma that is Jaden?
Well, I mean, I didn't listen to any like punk or rock growing up though, but when I came to LA, which was 5 years ago, I mean, that's been my entire life. I'm actually out here in the scene. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't have the ability to do that, so I'm very grateful to actually go to like these shows every week. That was something that Travis really told me early on. He was like, "Bro, I go to more shows now than ever because you have to like soak it up and live in that music." This album specifically, I mean, like I said, there's like pairs, so there's a lot of influence. This album's really indie. Like I really fell in love with indie rock um, over the past like 3 years, but specifically like the past 6 months. I think that for me as a person, like in the next 6 months, a year, I'm gonna be the face of like really like indie alternative rock. I'm a sun artist. Like I like making music in the sun, and because the sun also like the best part about the sun is it's not just bright; it also shines light on things that are dark and things that are heavy. And so that's where I'm at. That's the overall motif of the album, I'd say. Like Sad October and Just Let Go. But again, I hate being put in a fucking box, bro. So there's a lot of inspiration from like Deftones. There's like Dag Nasty like inspiration, and there's like Ecstasy, like this amazing artist, and a lot of Strokes, obviously, like I just said, and even people like Kenny Hoopla, and even my own. I inspired two of my own records. Like my first album, You Needed Someone, I just happened to be there, and then this song called Shit are both very inspired by my first album. So I was an inspiration for myself, Like I said before, like it wasn't calculated at all. It was all in the moment feeling. And I really tried to translate that, and I think it worked out great. But don't get it twisted. I mean, I'm really out here in this shit. Like this is my life, you know what I mean? It wasn't, so it could be right now,
Do you have any personal favorite tracks on the record? Like we know the singles are going to get chosen and put out, and people are going to respond to them, and that's going to be their gateway, their entry point to the record. But for you, sitting back looking at these 17 tracks and this journey you went on, are there any that you kind of suspect won't be singles that you wish were?
Kind of my goal with the singles that I already did. I had one song that I got forced to put out, which was What the Hell. Which I understand. I did it because the fans love it, but personally, I didn't want to put it out as a single. It was just kind of like a favor, with it all. But turned out great. I love the video. When the Music Stops is not a single. That's why I put it out first. Sad October is a single in my eyes, but not really in a lot of other people's eyes. So that's why I put it out. I think Stray and Just Let Go, and What the Hell are singles, and but funny enough, like Sad October, I say all that because Sad October is probably like my favorite song on the album. It just represents a lot for me. I made that song 2.5 years ago, actually. And Trav looked at me and he was like, "Jaden, this is you." And I didn't really understand it, but I wouldn't be able to have Just Let Go if I didn't have Sad October, and I wouldn't be able to have all the music I'm making right now if I didn't have Just Let Go. So very important tracks. But other than that, I think that there's a song called What Can I Say, and that's like a very almost lo-fi, like indie pop record, indie rock record. Ecstasy was a big inspiration for that one, and I really love that song because most people would overlook it, but it's the whole point is like the chorus. It's like What Can I Say, and I just keep repeating it, and it says so much by saying nothing, and I just like it's a really cool space to like get into. But honestly, every single song on the record I'm absolutely obsessed with. And I think they're wonderful, except for Wreck Me, low key. I only put out Wreck Me because I know my fans would like it. But I didn't want to put it out if I'm being honest, but I did it for the fans. And it's the last time I'll honestly probably ever do that. So I was like, who cares, because I'm going to stop leaking my music. So people don't know what's coming. So when I put out an album, it's going to be like, I hope you enjoy it. And if not, it's all good. I think that's what it is.
One thing that I've noticed is quite the trend at the moment, in a positive way, is this idea of an artist like you operating in these spaces. Like traditionally speaking, sort of the rock adjacent genres have been very band centric, not
Hmm.
very one individual human being
Yeah.
centric. But it's a real thing with your generation at the moment. And do you think that's something that you've brought in from like the pop and R&B and hip hop kind of worlds into this genre space? And do you think it gives you more creative freedom than working with a band?
I definitely, it's funny, like some of my best friends are a band called Beauty School Dropout, and we talk about this all the time, like the pros and the cons of like being a individual artist and being a band. For me personally, I definitely like Juice WRLD was the reason I started making music. Like I'd never been to a concert of his. I'd never been to a concert in general. Like until I was 18. 18 was my first concert. It was a Juice WRLD concert. So his concert alone opened up like the idea that I wanted to be an artist. I do kind of honestly treat myself as a band sometimes because I've had the same drummer and guitarist since I've started, and the way I like to operate, even when me and Travis and Andrew Wright, we operate as if like we're the three-piece band. Like Andrew is Kenji and Tosh and Travis is Tosh, and like we just jam, you know. Like that's kind of how we make music. And I'll write as we go, and it's really cool. But I do think there's a benefit to being an artist because there is someone and that people can latch onto, and it's like one very focused. You know, I think a band. I've never really been in one. Actually, I started a passion project recently called Bleach. It's like a very grunge band, very Nirvana inspired um, type of project, and so that's fun. I'm getting my taste of that, but I don't know. I every time I talk to BSD about it, you know, they always say like, oh, it's like it's probably a little nicer to have other people take the weight, you know, of what's going on, kind of like the pressure of stuff. In that sense, I think that there can be some benefits to having a band, but I'm super happy to be like who I am and what I am. I used to like really think about that shit a lot and like, you know, what should I change? What should I do different? But I'm super stoked just to be me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, it's working out for you perfectly fine. Obviously, you're working with Travis Barker and Andrew Goldstein. You've been on night shows.
Yeah,
You've
dude.
got million streaming singles, and you're killing it overall.
Thank you, bro. I'm just blessed, man. Seriously, I'm blessed.
Now, I am curious though, how does it translate live?
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, the shows are really like I think that people should come to a show before they ever even listen to one of my songs. Nowadays, I have a better grip on like because people don't understand. I made my first album in the studio. I'd never performed, you know, ever. Like I just like gotten a crazy lucky opportunity. I did like 250 shows over the past 2 years, you know, so that's been really beneficial for me. But even from the beginning, I mean, my live shows are what seal the deal every time. Like I have my core fan base just because I've been lucky enough to perform in front of so many people that you know weren't my fans yet, and the conversion was wonderful. So I'm lucky enough, honestly, to be playing the tour I'm playing right now. Like the venues I'm playing, it's pretty bizarre that you know 3 years later after I still hadn't put out an album, I still have this fan base. But recently, I'm craving like the clubs. Like I want to play for like 50 people, like 100 people, you know, 200 people. Like that's what I'm like craving, just because there's such an intimacy that's needed in music these days that isn't really there. And I think it's because people are shot into the limelight, you know, really quickly, and they're forced to adjust instead of being able to like grow with what they're doing. So I'm very happy with how it's translated.
Awesome. I look forward to finding out how it translates down under the next time you come over.
Oh,
Is there any hint of when that may be?
I hope sooner than later. Goodness gracious, I was just talking about I got fucking like denied by Australia because we were gonna come do like a festival circuit and and but it's because I have a felony. I understand, you know, I get it. Um, but I'm about to get it expunged because I'm on probation, so it'll all work out.
Anything else you want to tell the fine people of Maniacs and of Australia about the record that's coming out, or you think you've done all the talking and now it's time to let the music do the walking?
Man, I'm ready for the music to speak louder. I would just say it doesn't have to be me, but just keep listening to music and keep loving music, man. Like that's all this is all about. I think the world's trying to take away the art from the art, and it sucks. So just keep it to music. Love you guys.